I hope we have fixed the audio issues again, by the way.
Was it recording?
Yeah, it just wasn't, it didn't tell us.
She should be here.
Hey, Rami.
Not sure it's right there.
Ron?
Thank you.
I think my pen's dying.
Is it really?
Inside my shed.
What you need? No, we didn't get one. Yeah, by the way, what happened to the engineer's report? No? When? Nobody got it. I didn't get it.
Brian Smith. What? Properly submitted. Abstain. In my neighbor.
Thank you very much.
I didn't get it, Rami.
Deputy. Did Eric step down?
No.
Just
6:30, because we don't have an engineer's report.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be called, that's right.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't
but he's
know.
going to still be involved because, he just, I guess, when he found an assistant. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Right?
Because at the time we didn't have an assistant.
Good evening. This is the work session for Northfield City Council, February 22nd of 2022. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, in the Press of Atlantic City on January 8th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Have a roll call.
It'd be my pleasure to do the roll call. Mrs. Bucci.
Here.
Mr. Deweese.
Here.
Mr. Leeds. Mr. Notaro.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Utz.
Here.
Mr. Palestina.
Here.
And Mr. Chow.
Here.
Mr. President, excuse me, I do see Mr. Leeds present in
just-
Zoom. Is he participating in the council meeting by Zoom or is he?
I guess I just saw him text that he is in Zoom. Otherwise, I don't usually look at my text.
I'm here.
Okay, Councilman Leeds,
He's here.
Hey, his work.
you'll be, we fixed it. You'll be participating in the meeting by Zoom. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the roll call is going to be amended to reflect that Councilman Leeds is present. Mr. President.
Thank you. We'll move right along into the committee reports. Councilman Deweese.
First thing I have tonight is something you may have seen, the rear fence of the property is falling over. Public Works for temporary fixing, and we're going to get 3 quotes to replace the fence. I'll have that sometime late next month. These quotes are probably not going to come in to mid-March, as soon as you can meet the contractor. So, all right, so do they have the
What section right straight back? I didn't notice.
Straight back, there's 3 or 4 sections that fell over.
Okay.
from
Thank
the
you.
wind the other night.
Thank you.
That's all that I have.
Thank you. Councilman Utz.
Well, as you know, Ms. Knieze continues to fill positions in the construction office. The only other thing I have to report, I got a packet yesterday for 207 Northfield Avenue for the planning board. It's Northfield Methodist Church at Zion and Northfield Avenue apparently had a lot. They're selling that lot off. And they want to build a medical professional office about 5,100 square feet in a R2 residential zone. So they need a D variance. Mayor Chow and I won't be able to vote on that. But I want you to be aware of it because there may be, there's quite a few residents around it. So if you get some feedback from residents, you can certainly encourage them to attend the meeting.
And that's that little piece on the end.
So the church is close to Zion on Northfield. And if you go move a little further down Northfield Avenue, it's actually 207 Northfield Avenue. That's the lot that they propose to
Okay.
build a medical professional office on. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Notaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. First, I'd like to thank Mary and Shannon for bringing to our attention the fan organization, the Game On Grant Program from South Jersey Gas. South Jersey Gas is running a program where they're accepting 20 applicants, each for $1,000 each. And it's by way of lottery, so there's no, choosing. They do it by lottery, so it's kind of a fair playing field for the grant. So I reached out to Angela, the fan board president, and gave this to her. She's in the process of applying. And Brian, I think maybe pass that all over Little League too.
We did. We
Already
sent it
done.
direct-
Yeah, directly to them. Yeah. Mhm. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Leeds.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Little League meeting was held last evening, and I think it's the first time they held one in person in quite a while.
Mhm.
So it was nice to see some faces. The opening day for Little League is going to be April 4th. That's when their season is going to start. That's a Monday. They kind of set that date last evening. Their opening ceremony, they always do an opening ceremony, is going to be April 9th, which is that Saturday. So it'll actually be the first Saturday of the season. And I think that coincides with the Purple Heart ceremony. Is that day? Is that correct?
April 9th.
Yeah. Do we have a time for that?
I believe 11 a.m., but I don't think it's firmed up yet.
Okay, because I think that what we discussed last night, what was discussed, and Councilman Leeds brought this up, is that, if their opening day is that same day, maybe the Little League could have some of the players, coaches and players there take part in that celebration, that dedication, and then they can head down to Birch Grove Park later on for their opening ceremony. So it might be a nice kind of combo tandem there that day. Their ceremony would most likely begin at 1 p.m. for the Little League on April 9th. So hopefully we can coordinate that. The only other item I have is Northfield Community School will hold their next Board of Education meeting next Monday, the 28th. So I imagine they will be discussing mask mandates and things of that nature, since the March 7th date is coming up. But that's at 7 p.m. on Monday night in the school. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mrs. Bucci.
Okay, I attended the library meeting on February 10th. They had additional discussions about a sign. They've ruled out the LED sign and they're still discussing what they're going to do with that. It just needs some minor repairs. They're going to continue with the mask policy that they previously had on a weekly basis. They're going to see what the states, whether they're low or high, and if it's a high number, then they mask. If it's a low, then they don't. So they're going to put a sign on, continue to put a sign on the door with regards to that. They're going to have a grand reopening of the library. They're going to try to drum up some business because, as I had reported previously, that the membership is down there. So Aubrey has a number of programs that she's running. That'll be the week of April 3rd, which is National Library Week. They have mindfulness sessions, mahjong, story time. They're going to start up a lot of the programs that they had put on hold with the COVID, so that's good. And then on the 17th, I attended the safety meeting. Public Works is doing a good job working on all the punch list, I guess, from the JIP inspection. The museum rail has been secured. They're going to top the playground mulch at First Street once it gets a little nicer. One of the items on the list was to label the circuits at the library, because some of them are listed. So the Public Works is going to give it a try, and if not, they're going to have to get an electrician to do that. What else? The rep from JA Montgomery said that there are some safety programs for the fire department on the Mel Safety Institute on their site, and so he had pointed that out. He also recommended, they had put fire suppression in the basement where the records were. So they also recommended that those records be raised off the floor in case there's ever a flood. And I think that's it for safety. And then Municipal Alliance. The only thing is that there's that coffee with a cop on March 29th. So that's coming up. And that's all I have to report.
What was it? What was that date again?
I
March?
believe it's March 29th.
Or 20? This Saturday?
Yeah.
27.
27. It's at the Good Shepherd.
Dunkin' Donuts or where's it going to be at?
It's at the Good Shepherd Methodist.
Oh,
Church.
yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's it for me.
Thank you. And I have just that we have budget meeting again this week, so we'll be moving forward, hammering out those numbers, getting ready for next year, both capital and our regular 2022 budget. And that's all I have.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I could just be recognized, I have another
Yes, sir.
meeting at 7 o'clock, so I will be here, but I will be in my office. I'm doing a Zooming. But Chief, could you introduce our new SEO to City Council, please? Nice meeting you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Welcome, Brandon. Yep.
Thank you.
And remember, I told you you have to learn how to cook for us. Okay, thank you.
No hazing allowed. Okay, moving on to the work session. Is there any, has there been any updates on the, have you heard back from any state or county officials? Okay.
There's no batteries in it? All right, hold on.
I tend to do this.
You need two microphones?
Ronnie?
Hold on.
Here, there's Eric Leeds has one.
I wonder if I want to.
He's got Eric's, Mary. Oh,
Oh, yeah, I can hear it.
You can hear it too.
Can everybody hear us back there? Okay.
No, I haven't heard from anybody, so just.
Okay.
The controls, the podium mic isn't working. All right, did you get a microphone?
Yeah, I used Mr.
Rami, has all the items on the punch list from this last major paving project been completed?
No, there's one portion
Right.
is not complete. We're waiting for the weather to warm up.
Okay,
It's along Cedar Bridge. They create a high area by a driveway. They need to cut
Okay.
that down.
and that one depression that was on the bike path,
Yeah, That got fixed. That was part of Fay.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Has there been any grant opportunity to discuss?
Nothing came up.
Okay. All right. With that, we'll move on. If everyone can refer to the meeting agenda. Approval of the minutes. Mr. Deweese and Mr. Utz. Resolutions. Are there any resolutions that anyone would like to pull? From the
I need to abstain from 62, so I
Okay,
don't know if we need to pull it or just note my abstention for that one.
yes.
62, Brian?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Resolutions. Councilman Smith, Councilwoman Bucci. Ordinance 3, Councilman Notaro, Councilman Deweese. And ordinance 4, Councilman Utz. And Councilman Smith. Payment of bills. Councilwoman Bucci, Councilman Notaro. And meeting notices, Councilman Deweese. With that, we'll open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter may do so at this time. We ask that you state your name for the record and your address.
If there's anyone in Zoom who would like to speak, please raise your hand and I'll unmute you. No one.
Okay. With that, we will now close the public session. Do I have a motion to adjourn the work session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. A minute before we get into the regular meeting?
Yes.
I'm behind.
Yeah. We're at a heated pace tonight.
Who moved and seconded, please?
I was first.
Notaro and Deweese.
Thank you. I'm good, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Good evening. This is the regular session for Northfield City Council, February 22nd of 2022. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, in the Press of Atlantic City on January 8th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, let us remember and keep in our prayers those serving in our nation's armed forces, especially our troops away from home, and also please protect and guide our emergency management and the emergency response teams that include the fire and police and EMT for the great services that they provide to protect our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci.
Here.
Mr. Deweese.
Here.
Mr. Leeds.
I'm here.
Mr. Notaro.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Utz.
Here.
Mr. Palestina.
Here.
And Mr. Chow.
Here,
Mr. President,
May I get a motion for approval of the minutes, please?
I'd like to make a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes, February 3rd, 2022, from February 8th, 2022. They have been posted and distributed to council, and I'll file with the city clerk's office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I can't vote.
I'm going to abstain from that because I wasn't here at the last meeting.
Thank you.
I just kind of followed suit.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. As you all know, we've just been introduced to our new SEO two, and with that, and that makes two, and that will expand our services within the police department. I will say that in the past several years, it's been a very difficult task in trying to find applicants as well as qualify applicants for the SEO. So I'm very happy tonight that we were able to get our second SEO. The SEO and code enforcement officer has been working very well. I've been keeping an update with them. I think it's just a wonderful asset that we have that we are in within our city and combining those two services. And the last report that I have is at our Atlantic County League of Municipalities, Councilman Deweese, Councilman Leeds, and Councilwoman Bucci attended. It was about the discussion was presented by Mr. Ferguson, county legal person who in place Dennis Levinson could not make, but it was a very informative discussion about the pilot program. And what is an eye-awakening situation is how much money as a result of the current policy that Atlantic County is losing. Probably one of the outstanding problems that we were told was that during the past, I believe the Attorney General that was involved and other legal people that was agreed to originally as far as the amount and so forth that would be given to Atlantic County suddenly was never not approved, but was not even, it was agreed upon, but it was not approved to follow through. So I don't know whatever happened there, neither does the county. They are appealing it. But again, I just want to emphasize that I just hope that we win this case because of the amount of monies that not only is Atlantic City losing, but the entire county, which affects us, obviously. So that's the end of my report. Oh, yes, and our next Atlantic County League of Municipalities meeting will be held at the Atlantic City Country Club. Thank you, Council President.
Is the lawsuit that the county is filing, is that because of the new calculations? Because they're leaving out the.
Well, not only the
Online
new
gaming?
calculations, but I believe what was originally agreed upon, quote, although that's not in
that's
the
not what
lawsuit
passed.
itself, but that's part of the problems that brought about what the current situation is.
Thank you. Mr. Nasir.
Thank you, Council President. I prepared my report last Friday. I'm not sure what happened. I emailed it, but apparently something went wrong with the email, but there's only a couple minor items. Chris and myself, we went in front of the planning board for Atlantic County. We received the approval for the minor subdivision for the Zion Road Pump Station. Also, the county agreed to revert portion of the right-of-way back to the municipality. So we will have, at the end of the day, one piece of property that houses the pump station, all the equipment, everything that belongs to the sewer operation will be on a single lot that's owned by the municipality. So that takes care of that issue that's been hanging out for a long time. The other thing, today received back the floodplain ordinance that we submitted to the state. I think you're copied on it.
Yes.
It was supposed to come back yesterday, but sent them an email. I got it today. The revisions are minor on our end, so I think we need to produce it, get it ready for introduction for the next meeting and adoption by the end of the month.
Yeah.
That's our deadline, so we should be good to go. The only thing I have to do now is just go through the ordinance to see if there's any conflicting information to eliminate it from other chapters. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Council President, I
Any
just had
questions?
one
Yes.
more item, if I may. I've been keeping in touch with, with several real estate agents within Northfield as well as outside Northfield. I don't know if that's good news or bad news, but the inventory for rentals and sales in Northfield, there is none. There is none. So I don't know if that's a good point or bad point. The other thing is that in talking with or discussing with these realtors, they are delighted and they are hopefully they're moving forward with the project that was approved by the planning board on the old Arthur Henry site. That's going, they're really excited because obviously that's going to provide more income for not only the city, but also inventory. But it was kind of shocking when they all said there's no inventory in Northfield. So, I don't know if that's good news or bad news. in that
It's good if
respect
you're
there.
selling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open the meeting to the public.
Can I
Anyone?
Mr. President, I'm sorry, I just
Yes.
want, I had just a resident answer. I wanted to ask
One
Rami. The Merritt Drive project, when, do we have a date for that?
Yes, actually, the date was supposed to start March, the end of March. I had to push it an extra 2 weeks or 3 weeks, subject, because, the building is going up on Ridgewood and Route 9. I had a meeting this morning with the utility companies to show them the location that they can open the road so they don't foul themselves up. So the water company is putting their water line this week. So that will be one. I spoke with the gas company. They should be putting their water line, gas line next week. So we need 45-day settlement period before we pave it. That's the only holdup we have. The contractor is ready to go. He has
So
everything.
early April, we're looking.
Yeah, most probably middle of April.
Thank you, Ron.
Any other questions for the engineer? Okay, public, the meeting will now be open to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any subject, please state your name and address for the record, and we ask that you observe a 5-minute limit per speaker.
And anyone in Zoom wishing to speak, if you could please raise your hand and I'll unmute you. No one.
Okay. Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. Resolutions. One moment, please. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature, having been reviewed by council. Will be enacted by one motion. Any items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. And no one asked, anyone, nothing else need, no one want to have anything pulled. Is there anyone? No? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolutions 58, 2022 through 69, 2022 by consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor of voting by consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to make the motion to adopt the consent agenda for resolutions 58, 2022 through 69, 2022.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds, Mr. Leeds,
Yes.
Mr. Notaro,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes, just noting my abstention again from 62, 2022.
noted. Mr. Utz,
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes,
Motion carries for the adoption of the consent agenda.
thank you. Ordinances. Ordinance 323-2022, public hearing, and then we'll vote.
I'd like to make the necessary motion to move to adopt ordinance 3/2022.
Second.
Ordinance 3 of 2022 is an ordinance amending Chapter 97, Article 1, Section 6 of the City of Northfield Municipal Code. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. The ordinance is presently posted in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website where it has been since introduction. Any member of the public who asked for a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk. If approved this evening, the matter will be published a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on February 26th.
Thank you. We will now open the meeting to the public on ordinance 3-2022. And now open the public for anyone wishing to speak on that ordinance and that ordinance alone.
Anyone in Zoom, raise your hand. Nope.
Okay, seeing no one, the public session is now closed. Any questions from council? Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds, Mr. Notaro,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Rutz,
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 3 of 2022.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to introduce ordinance 4-2022?
I'd like to make the necessary motion to adopt ordinance 4-2022.
Introduce.
Introduce. Oh, okay. To introduce ordinance 4-2022.
Second.
Ordinance 4 of 2022 amends Chapter 250 of the City of Northfield Municipal Code entitled Parks and Recreation Areas. This is introduction. There will be no public input. The ordinance will be published in full in the Press of Atlantic City on February 26th. It is presently posted on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall. And the matter will have a second reading. It will, there'll be a public hearing and it will be considered for final adoption on March 8th.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council on this ordinance? Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds, Mr. Notaro,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Rutz.
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of ordinance 4 of 2022.
May I have a motion for payment of bills?
I'd like to make a motion for payment of the bills in the amount of $255,441.53.
Second?
I'm
Oh.
sorry, Mr. Leeds, were you saying something? I can see that you're talking, Mr. Leeds, but apparently we've lost audio again. Hang on for a second while I try and fix this. So close. Mr. Leeds, try again. And Mr. Leeds, can you try one more time?
There he is.
Ah, wait.
Oh. You lost your Zoom connection.
It's faster to get here.
All right.
Okay, just in time.
So I apologize for that. I believe there's a motion and a second for payment of bills. It was Mrs. Bucci and who? I'm sorry.
I don't think there was a second.
Yes, second.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Notaro was second. Mr. Leeds, what were you saying, by the way? I'm so sorry. It showed that you were talking, but we couldn't hear you. Was that something relevant to the matters being discussed?
If there's a problem with my iPad.
Okay, all right. Motion second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds,
Yes.
Mr. Notaro.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Utz.
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes.
Motion carries for payment of bills.
Meeting notices.
Next city council budget workshop meeting is February 24th at 6 PM. City council meeting is March 8th, 6 PM, work session, regular session immediately following.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Lightning fast.
That was a record again.
Nice. That's a record for
You
sure.
got to sign the
I must have
fastest
been
meeting
good
ever.
luck this week.
Just tell them you were here late. Interlocking.